Hey, what's up guys, it's MugenLord here, and today we're going to talk about Ubisoft. Now, I know a lot of you guys are getting tired of hearing about Ubisoft, but they just can't seem to just let it go. You know, they're just getting hit left and right. So apparently the CEO has essentially said that, hey guys, we're not trying to push any specific agenda. We're just trying to create games, especially after what's the backlash from Star Wars Outlaws. And I wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions on that before we even dive into any of these articles. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we're going to dive right into it. It's from Bound and Into the Comics. It was stated that following disastrous reception of Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadow, Ubisoft CEO issued a statement claiming our goal is not to push any specific agenda. Well, if they ain't trying to push any specific agenda, they sure did fool us. So, what is only described as an ostensible attempt to try and win back player favor following years of disaster releases. Ubisoft CEO Yves Guillemot has claimed that, contrary to popular belief, the Star Wars Outlaws and Assassin's Creed Shadows developer is not actively looking to push any specific agenda. Now, a lot of you guys would probably say, like, no, that's bullshit, this, that, and the third. Now, I would say this. I always like to say that there's nuance. When you come to my channel, I'm always going to give you the flip side of things. I'm always going to try to give you nuance and all this stuff. Now, my personal opinion, I believe that there's a lot of these companies out here that don't believe in any of this nonsense. That don't really believe it. Yes, you will have some activists in these companies and this, that, and the third, which prove that a lot of these companies don't really believe in a lot of these stuff that they're pushing, this nonsense they're pushing. There's a lot of internal conflict that's going on behind the scenes. We talked about, we're going to talk about when it comes to Square Enix. There's a lot of internal conflict going on within Square Enix itself, especially from the creator of Dragon Quest and his displeasure, or he's displeased about the censorship on his beloved series that he have created and everything. We're going to get into that in a separate video on its own. But there's a lot of infighting going on within these studios is because a lot of them don't believe in this nonsense. And so if they don't believe in it, then why are they pushing it? It's for the simple fact that it's all about money. It's money in this. It's called the ESG. We talked about this before. It's all about having that social score, that social standing as a business in order to get more investments. That's all this is about. And in the Ubisoft case, Ubisoft is bleeding money. They're bleeding money. So they're more than likely going to take up this offer from these consultant agencies, from getting ESG investments and everything, to be able to push a lot of the stuff within the game. Because like I said, it's the ESG, and it's a lot of these consultant companies that's pushing a lot of this stuff onto these developers as well. In order for them to get these investments, they have to comply to whatever demands that they have in order for them to receive that funding. So I can also believe that Ubisoft don't really believe in this nonsense as well. But this is a company that's fucking hurting. So they're willing to actually play ball. They're actually willing to submit themselves to this nonsense, especially when you see what Ubisoft used to be and to where they're at now. But we're going to move on. See, the in-battle exec's defense of Ubisoft operation was issued as part of an official statement issued on September 25th, announcing that the company lowering of their Q2 financial year of 2024 to 2025 financial targets, which they claimed were mainly a reflection of decisions taken of Assassin's Creed Shadows, as its delays has pushed back whatever earnings it would have brought into a later quarter, and the softer than expected launch for Star Wars Outlaws. Following the twin reveals that Shadows was being delayed to give it further polish, and Outlaws would soon be released to Steam and also receive a series of updates to polish and improve the experience, Guillemot took a moment to personally address the game studio's surprise moves. So, I also want to point this out, and I'm going to keep saying this to you guys. See, the thing is, it's not just wokeness. I don't want everybody to keep focusing on the woke aspects of this. Before wokeness had even plagued, Ubisoft was another company that's been dealing with poor management behind the scenes, poor leadership behind the scenes. They've been dropping duds at the duds before Sweet Baby Inc. and these consultant agencies, and before ESG and a lot of this stuff is going on. It's just that wokeness and this DEI, ESG just added more wood to the fire. So you also have to remember this, because just because you remove the wokeness from Ubisoft doesn't mean Ubisoft is going to just automatically be successful. There has to be some management cleanup. That's what's going on here. There has to be some restructuring within the business and everything in order for Ubisoft to be able to prosper. But we're going to move forward with this. See, I quote, "Our second quarter performance fell short of our expectations, prompting us to address this swiftly and firmly with an even greater focus on a player-centric, gameplay-first approach and unwavering commitment to the long-term value of our brands," began Galma. Although the tangible benefits of the company transformation are taking longer than anticipated to materialize, we keep our strategy focusing on two key verticals: open world adventures and GAS native experiences, with the objective to drive growth, recurrences, and robust free cash flow generation into our business. Now, there's a key takeaway I wanted to point out here in this, where he's talking, where it also seems like the same talk that Square Enix was talking about with the new president that they have there. Now, Ubisoft is kind of like saying the same language. They want to spend greater focus on player-centric gameplay first approach, and unwavering commitment to a long-term value of brands. See, this is the part that gets me. Although tangible benefits of the company transformation are taking longer than anticipated to materialize, we keep our strategy focusing on two key verticals. See, this is what I keep saying. There is a shakeup going on within these companies itself. There could possibly be a shakeup going on within Ubisoft, where I'm getting the same type of rhetoric that I get from Square Enix, the quantity over quality, where I said in a last video where I talked about that we won't see any of these changes until the next 5 to maybe 10 years. Because whatever that's outright, that's in the works, that's deep in development, there's nothing they can do about those. So you're going to see the DEI, you're going to see the wokeness in it. You won't see any of the changes until the games that's being early in development. And that's how these development cycles work. So what I believe here, if we can take their word for face value, that you won't be able to see any of the new Ubisoft materialize as far as the development beliefs in their process and how they're going to move forward in the future. You won't see any of that materialize until next 5 to maybe 10 years. So what you see right here, when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, and when it comes to Star Wars Outlaws, these games were already far in development. So when these games release, of course these games are going to be considered woke, and it's going to have all these DEI and all this other type of stuff in it, because these games were already in development and deep in development. They can't change shit. So now they have to recoup their losses. They have to try to recoup as much money as possible, or try to polish as much as possible, which is why you got the delay of Assassin's Creed Shadow, because they're going to try to polish as much as possible, because they know they're about to take a hit. They know they're going to take some losses with Assassin's Creed Shadow, but they try to polish it enough to try to reduce that damage. That's what they're going to do, and that's why they're going to delay it. So I also want you to keep that in mind, because I think that there is a shift that is about to happen pretty soon. So it says, in light of the recent challenges, we acknowledge the need for greater efficiency while delighting players, he added. As a result, beyond the first important short-term actions undertaken, the Executive Committee, under the supervision of the Board of Directors, is launching a review aimed at further improving our execution, notably in this player-centric approach, and accelerating our strategic paths toward a higher performing model to the benefit of our stakeholders and shareholders. And it was here, in drawing his thoughts to a close, the CEO attempted to assure players of the company's supposedly agendaless direction. So here we go, guys. Finally, let me address some of the polarizing comments around Ubisoft lately, concluded Galma. I want to reaffirm that we are an entertainment-first company creating games for the broadest possible audience, and our goal is not to push any specific agenda. We remain committed to creating games for fans and players that everyone can enjoy. And this is the thing. This is all corporate talk, but as I said at the same time, Ubisoft is hurting. So they're going to take whatever they can take, and they think, and what's so stupid about it is, after hearing the backlash about a lot of these consulting firms and a lot of these DEI initiatives, they continue to go forward with it. But you also got to understand too, these game cycles take a long time to keep up with the shift of what's going on with society, because a lot of these things were already talked about, already implemented, and it doesn't take in consideration of when the culture is going to make the shift by the time these games actually reach store shelves. And that's what's going on right now. There's a lot of these developers who saw the culture shift, saw where DEI was at its highest. Because remember what I told you before in another video, where a lot of developers like Microsoft and a lot of these companies started trying to move away from some of this stuff, because DEI and ESG, a lot of this was at its peak during the George Floyd incident, where Black Lives Matter had a strong grip on society, and where Black Lives Matter at now. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of these companies seen this and wanted to try to capitalize on this business venture. And while we were also locked down, lockdowns also inflated the value and the strength and the power that a lot of these movements and agendas have. Now that the culture is starting to see a shift, is starting to pivot, the pendulum is starting to swing the other way. A lot of these games have already been in development, and by the time these games come out, the culture already changed. So now they're feeling the brunt of this, and that's what the results of this is. So interesting, this claim that Ubisoft developers are ironing away from pushing specific agendas stands in direct contrast to the inconsistencies from those involved in Assassin's Creed Shadows production, and despite his real-world existence as a retainer, the game will be correctly portraying Yasuke as a true samurai. While we strive for authenticity in everything that we do, Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction inspired by real historical events and figures, wrote the dev team during a previous address of the backlash of their game narratives. From its inception, the series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements to craft engaging and immersive experiences. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life made him an ideal candidate to tell an Assassin's Creed story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion, which I also talked about to you guys as well when it comes to the Yasuke inclusion when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadow. As I said before, I would have been up for a Yasuke game. I think Yasuke has an interesting mystery around him, because there's so much conflicting knowledge and information about this historical figure, to the point where you can pretty much make up anything to make an interesting game, a theme, plot, and an interesting game setup that revolves around him. It's just the sad part about it is this game came out a little too late, when we're in an actual cultural climate where it's very, very I wouldn't say toxic, but very, very heated right now between two opposing ideologies. So a Yasuke situation right now in this current political and cultural and societal climate was just the wrong time. And then especially when you're hiring consultant, an activist, people within your company to throw more wood onto the fire, you can see where the problem lies and where it extends. So where do they go from here after Assassin's Creed Shadow and also after Star Wars Outlaws? Will we start to see some changes? Will we start to see a pivot? Will we start to see a shift? Because like I said before, culture shifts much faster than game development itself. By the time these games come out, the culture can quite possibly shift to where that ideology and the things that's implemented in these games become outdated. It becomes rejected, from the community itself, from the culture itself. And that's what we're seeing when it comes to games like Unknown 9, which is going to be a train wreck day one. When you see games like Dustborn, when you see games like Concord, these games were so long into development where culture has pivoted so much. By the time these games release, these games fail, because now the pendulum is about to swing the other way. So I definitely need your thoughts in the comment section below. What do you think about all this? Do you think Ubisoft, just like Square Enix, do you think they're going to actually turn their ways after these next two titles, which is Assassin's Creed Shadow and also Star Wars Outlaws? Do you think that we're experiencing a shift in society and just culture itself, especially here in the West? Definitely need your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord, signing off. I'll see you Game Fiends later. Peace out.